Okay.
We want to intro each other or not?
And we're rolling here. We've got Mike Dowler and Stephen K. Peeples with Leland Sklar here.
And here we are, guilty as charged.
And it's an encore encounter. We talked on the radio for Mike's podcast a few years ago.
Conversations Radio.
Before the shit hit the fan.
Just like a year ago, isn't it?
Oh, it
was pre-COVID.
Well, you were on with Connie Jackson.
Well, it was pre-COVID, so,
Yeah.
and that was 2.5 years ago that COVID hit.
Yeah.
Been too long.
It's become surreal. Like your time frame in life now is like really kind of become malleable.
It's telescoped and stretched.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's
I
been
get
a
you.
very-
We lost Chad with Connie Jackson was on, and you guys both toured with Phil Collins.
Yeah.
So a lot of memories there.
Oh, I love Connie and I love Phil in this. Actually, I hadn't heard from Phil in ages, and he wrote to me after my accident.
Oh.
And he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" He says, "We're too old for this shit. Don't do this anymore."
Yeah. A little risky business.
Yeah, but whatever. Life moves on.
So we're at the Canyon Santa Clarita, November 12th, 2022. There's a slate. And
Nice.
it's the first gig of it's the first gig of the Immediate Families 2022 tour.
Yeah, it's the. And as a matter of fact, this was the last time we toured. This was the last gig we played. So we're actually we've picked up back there, and now we're just moving forward again.
That's continuity then.
Yeah, but it's fun. These Canyon Club venues are really nice, so it's really nice to be back doing it again.
So what's in the sets? You have some new material.
We're
now,
doing
right?
about half new material and half of the old material because we've got a new album that's done and will probably be out in the early part of next year.
Nice. What's the title?
It's called Skin in the Game,
Aha.
which is really, man, if you're living in this world and you're committed to it, you got skin in the game.
So true.
It felt like an apt title.
So how much original material? Is it all originals written
It's all-
within the band?
Well, there's only one song on the album, which is the new single now, Toughest Girl in Town, which is written by the group Sparks.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Other than that, everything else is original that the band has written.
Well, what was behind the decision to do that particular tune? Everybody had
I think
a liking for it?
Well, Waddy and Cooch, I think, were listening to some music one day, and they got deep into like Sparks, finding that Sparks had written like 300 songs. They had a ton of albums, and they're like local LA guys,
Yeah.
and nobody knows about them. I mean, I have never run into them or anything like that. So this song just hit them, and then they played it for the rest of us. And said, "What do you think?" And we said, "Great. It seems very timely with what's going on in the world right now and stuff. Don't be shy. Come in anytime you want."
And of course, Sparks is huge in LA, and they worked on
Cult heroes.
Yeah,
and
they really
favorites.
are colored.
They're like from the Fairfax district.
Yeah.
A couple of kids
Yeah.
who went to Fairfax High, I think.
Yeah,
Not
I think
mistaken.
so.
heavily involved with the movie Annette,
Yeah.
which was very artsy, but again, amazing.
But you get these groups like that. I mean, we were kind of in that situation where we had our group, The Section, together. Like, nobody really knew who we were, but the people who knew were, really ardent fans for it, and they would show up to anything that we were doing. So it's neat when the group has that kind of a thing. I mean, we're sort of in that state right now with the Immediate Family, where there's people that are real aware of us, and like we were joking about it, and thought at the Grammys we should maybe be nominated for Best New Act.
Well, yeah, if you release your first album within a certain period, it doesn't matter how old you are.
I know.
What's so cool?
Still
though-
your debut album.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What's so cool is you've played with everyone, and of course, the musicians in the house tonight, very well known. I mean, the section and everything. But I got to think right now you're living your best life because you always said you wanted to be in a band.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely. She just walked through. Yeah, I mean, the thing that to me is always crazy about this is like when we're on stage, and I'm looking at guys I've been on stage with for over 50 years, and we still are like best friends. You hear about all these groups that hate his guts. They only go out and they gig to gig, and that's it, and then they never see each other. I mean, we spend so much time together. We've never had issues. We've never had arguments. We have discussions that can get heated, but they're usually just all about music and sorting out things. So I feel really fortunate.
When you have a group of rational, reasonable, relatively reasonable people, you can work these things out rather than coming to blows.
Yeah. So it's been great. I mean, I'm having just the greatest time, and plus then we all have our individual things that we're doing around. So everybody's got lots of stuff happening, and then the fun part is when there becomes that nice big window where we can then start just doing our own thing in it. It's great. And this is going to be a nice couple of weeks here for us.
Yeah.
Because we're off to New York on Monday for the premiere of the. There's a Doc New York City, which is the biggest documentary film festival in the world, I think. And so we'll get to. We can move into it now if you want. But,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Denny Tedesco, who did the Wrecking Crew movie, whose
Right.
father was Tommy Tedesco, who's one of the greatest guitar players that's ever lived.
Yep.
I feel really blessed that I knew Tommy.
One of the Wrecking Crew dudes too. Yeah.
The Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
I did tons and tons of records with Tommy. So when Denny did the Wrecking Crew movie, I thought it was like one of the most important movies about music I'd ever seen.
Yes.
So when they approached us saying we would like to do a movie about you guys because you were kind of the continuum from the Wrecking Crew, it was unbelievably flattering and kind of alarming because you don't think of yourself. You're just happy to be working, and so to suddenly have something that's really kind of taken your life in music and laid it out on a dissecting table and opened it up.
Did you have any reservations about
No.
it at all?
Because I've been around Denny enough, and I did like a lot of Q&As for the Wrecking Crew movie because I knew all those people and I worked with them too. I was never a member of the Wrecking Crew, but I worked with all of them at the tail end of their careers. So I knew the quality of what he was going to do. So there was certainly no reservation. We were only hopeful that there was enough about us to make a movie out of. But the thing that was interesting for Denny was when he talked about the Wrecking Crew, he said, look, they were basically together about 10 years, 10, 12 years was the duration of that scene. And he said they never toured, they never did anything other than studio work, in which they did the greatest studio work was. He says, you guys have been together over 50 years, you've produced, you've toured with, you've done all these other aspects of it. So he said it's a very different story. So it was thrilling. I mean, I've seen it now a few times, and it still blows my mind when I see it.
No, there was a screening last night.
In Coronado, I think, down near San
Coronado
Diego.
Film Festival.
Yeah, I think so.
Very good. And then
And
there's
he said it
another
went
one.
great. He said it went great.
There's another one on Sunday coming up, right?
Well, right now Denny's in Minneapolis tonight doing a screening. It's like all over the place. I mean, there's a ton of these festivals. We're going up to Aspen to do it, but the one in New York, the thing that was interesting was apparently, you show your movie once and the festival.
Right.
Well, there was a big enough demand where there's going to be a second screening of it. The first screening's the night of the 15th, so there's a second screening during the day on the 16th.
Wow.
And then he said they're doing the 17th too. They're screening it 3 times at the thing. So it's pretty exciting. There's a good buzz going on, and I really hope it's successful for both Denny and for the people, the producers and the financiers on the thing. I hope it does well for everybody. But it's a trip. I can't wait. I mean, I got so many people writing me every day going, when can we see it? When can we see it?
The title of the movie
is The Immediate Family.
Okay.
And pretty straight up.
It's a like a front to back documentary.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And all the people that they got to talk in this is incredible. I mean, you got Carole King and James Taylor and Phil Collins and Jackson Brown and Linda Ronstadt and Lou Adler and I mean, just it's kind of endless. I was just blown away.
All,
like the
all
things
the people
they all
who
said.
picked up the phone and called you guys.
Yeah. So it's a trip. It's really entertaining the way they put it all together.
And James Taylor's blessings.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, James is. All of these guys. It was really very sweet. Just all the things that had to say and came up with was really, you kind of sit back and go, wow, this is pretty cool.
Is there a plan for theatrical release?
Well,
or is it still on the festival circuit?
It's on
right
the
now?
festival circuit. And so what'll happen now is they're looking for a buyer.
A distributor.
Yeah, a distributor. Because the thing was financed. I think the company's called Submarine, who basically, they put this whole thing together. Now they're doing all these to then look at who's maybe Netflix or whoever. This is the area that it's gone into that I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
This is completely.
And you don't want to rush that either.
Well, you want it to be right.
Yeah.
You want to get to be with the right people who really see the vision of it and know the market.
Present it right.
But
too.
the first two festivals we did, it won the People's Choice Awards.
That's great.
At the festival at Woodstock and at Tallgrass in Wichita.
Nice.
The response has been really good, and it's going to be fun tomorrow or on Tuesday night in New York. It'll be the first time the entire band has been there for the Q&A. I mean, I've done a few myself, and then Steve Postel and I did one together, and then Denny's always involved in the Q&A too. So it's just it's a neat process that I'm completely unfamiliar with. I'm interviewed a lot about other people's things, but that you're going to be like maybe 10, 15 seconds, and that's going to be it. So to see an entire movie is pretty.
What kind of archival footage is in the film?
I can't believe all the stuff they found.
Yeah.
I mean, we all sent in pictures and things that we had, but whoever did the editing on this did a really fabulous job of putting this all together, because it really has a beautiful flow and continuity to it. So, but you have to see it, and we got to get this goddamn thing out there.
Gotcha. Now, there's a website for it, right? It's
Media Family Film. It's
MediaFamilyFilm.com.
MediaFamilyFilm.com, and there's a trailer on that you can see, a sizzle reel.
Gotcha. Now, jumping back to the new album, what kind of is there any variation from the sound that you guys have had in the past, or are you experimenting with anything?
Well, each song is an experiment. There's not like there's not an album sound. There's like the individual songs have.
Okay.
Each one has its own personality, but the bulk of the writing on this is Waddy and Cooch and Postel.
Gotcha.
And seeing as the instrumentation is still exactly the same and everything, it's just like another element of what the first album was, but some fun tunes. Lyrically, there's one.
Example.
24/7, 365, which is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a Cooch tune, and the first time he sang it, I just laughed my ass off. It was unbelievably funny. I mean, what we're trying to do on these things is be engaging and poignant, because these are really incredibly important times that we're living in. And I mean, I'm sitting in a state of shock the way the elections went. I was expecting something so dramatically worse. I mean, I'm still in a state of absolute shock that somebody like Herschel Walker even has a platform at all.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other discussion.
That's another movie.
But we're in times that are really pivotal, and you really want to be creating art and music
that's relevant.
It's relevant and makes people happy, brings some pleasure to their lives and stuff. And I think this album really fits the bill really well on that. And we're just excited to finally start playing it, because we're doing about, I think there's 5 or 6 of the new songs in the set, and then the rest of it's from the last album.
You're playing with folks, musicians that you played with everybody like yourself. You played with them, and now you guys play together as a band. What's that emotion?
It's just like it's the perfectly named band to call it the Immediate Family, because it really is. I mean, because we've been playing together for so long, both collectively and as individuals. Like Russ and I just spent the entire summer out with Lyle Lovett and his large band, and every night I look over and there's Russ sitting next to me, and I got to look at this guy since the late '60s. There's something so really incredibly thrilling about this to me, that just being able to be with these guys who I have the utmost respect for, the utmost love for, and it really is a brotherhood. So I think it's a real unique entity in this business, because there's a lot of groups that have come and gone, or they're still up, but half the members aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
And to actually have a group of guys that is still the same guys that have been playing together all these years is pretty unusual.
It is.
It's exciting.
I think we're getting blown out over here.
Aren't you glad you learned the bass though? Because your original intro was piano.
Yeah.
But you were pointed in another direction. And now
Well,
we're around.
I went there. What I'm going to do is run and close that door.
Okay.
But you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, talk amongst ourselves.
And we're at the Canyon in Santa Clarita, and really a phenomenal venue.
Yes.
You and I have been.
The sound is great in there.
You and I have lived here for many years,
Yes.
done stuff together, and we needed this like 20 years ago, but now we have it. This wonderful venue.
Yeah, when I was producing the live music show on SCV-TV, it would have been nice to have that had a kind of a flow of artists between the club and the TV station.
Speaking of flow,
Yeah. Very
Leland
nice.
Sklar.
Well done. Well
The
done.
door monitor.
Yes, thank you very much. So we were talking a little bit about what's in the new album, and the sets include about just about half a dozen songs from the new album.
Yeah.
And the rest are from the previous.
From the previous album. And because, I mean, at this point, there's certain expectations. I mean, the people that have been coming to see us, they want to hear, like, Lawyers, Guns, and Money, and they want to hear Werewolves of London, and All She Wants to Do Is Dance. So there's like a group of songs that we got to put those in, because
Right.
that's what people have been listening to with us. But we want to start turning them on to the new material, too, because there's a ton of new material on the album that nobody's heard yet that